Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cash Flow Positive. I'm Kenny Bedwell, and we're going to be talking about how to save you thousands by doing some simple steps before you actually launch your short-term rental property. I brought on one of the best in the industry on setup and also now preventative maintenance as well. She's been on the show before, Kim Fitzpatrick. She's with Launched Host. Last year, it's really, first off, it's really cool to see her growth in the last year and the business she's been able to do and the knowledge. And so what I want you to pay attention to during this episode while Kim talks are the specific preventative things that you need to do to your property, especially your furniture, so they last longer. I'm telling you, if you do these things, you will save thousands of dollars in labor costs and supplies. So without further ado, Kim, welcome back to the show. Tell us how things have been going, and let's dive into it.
Yeah, it's great to be here. In the last year, boy, Launched Host has really taken off, and I have been traveling full time, setting up properties for other short-term rental owners and investors and property managers. And it's been a whirlwind, but we're very excited to be back and doing this with you again.
Yeah. So first off, I think it's for those who are watching on YouTube that you can see Kim's background. It's not virtual. Kim, tell us where you are and what you were specifically doing, because I thought it was crazy. It's crazy unique. It's bold, as in my words I put it earlier. So tell us.
Yeah, it's definitely bold. I am setting up a short-term rental property to be decked out as Harry Potter. So this is a Hogwarts castle. It was built in 1911. It is 100 and whatever years old, and it started as a church, and then it transformed by the previous owners into a castle, and now it's being transformed further into Hogwarts. So when I got here, I was like, oh, this will make a fantastic Hogwarts. Like, this place is designed. So it is a 4-bedroom house. It will sleep 8, and it is decked to the nines in all Harry Potter everything.
That's really cool. You've got the stained glass behind you, and yeah, it looks from just what we see here, it looks really cool. So that is awesome. And now I got to ask, I already know the answer, but for the people listening, where is this place?
It is in Brinkhaven, Ohio. So it is in the middle of nowhere. It's, I think, slightly outside of Hocking Hills. It's very near Amish country. So I see the Amish buggies going back and forth on the main street every day. This will be the destination for anyone coming here.
And that's why it makes it bold.
That is exactly it.
Yeah.
Not everyone is going to take a risk like this, but these people have, and I'm here supporting it by getting it installed as beautifully as we can.
Right. We're looking forward to knowing how it does in a year or so. If we don't hear about it, then that tells you one thing. If we hear about it, that tells you another thing. So
that's true. Yep. Yeah.
Well, cool. So the last time we had you on the show, we talked a lot about setup and install and how to do it in a timely manner. I remember that it was really, because that's really big in terms of, making sure that people understand, that you're on the clock when you close on a property and you have all these holding costs. How can you set up and do it in a timely manner? And what's the strategy? So we talked about that last time. So anybody listening to that, go back last year. There's an episode buried in there. It says Kim Fitzpatrick on it. And go listen to that one. That's really good. But now we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. And you brought this to my attention, and I think it's worth it, is how can you save thousands on maintenance costs? And how can you, just by doing preventative work and adding the right furniture and the right things?
I have so many ideas to share with you. So many. And a lot of these we will do during the setup phase when we set up for owners. But more recently, we have decided to help people set up their own properties. So we are teaching all of the things that we do when we're doing a setup. So we don't just assemble the furniture out of the box, but for instance, the chair I am sitting on that we assembled, we use, and I brought props. We use
wow.
Loctite Blue 242. I feel like I'm Vanna. How do the influencers do it? But this is a product I talk about a lot. A friend of mine, Anthony Rollo, told me years ago I should use it. I looked into it and I was like, this is genius. And I have a lot of projects I can talk about and how we help. But this product itself, and I don't get any money on this. I'm sharing this so that other people don't hire a maintenance person to come once a month and tighten screws, because over and over and over, I've been hearing that people have that. And I'm like, why? Why don't you just use Loctite? And we choose Blue 242, even though it's in a red container, but it's Blue 242 because you put it around the screw, you insert the screw into the metal fitting, and the screw will stay. It won't wiggle loose, but you can unscrew it if you need to. So if you ever need to take the furniture apart, you can. It's not permanent, but it stops the screw from wiggling loose. And I think if we've all owned a property for more than a year, we know that things just wiggle loose. So any furniture that someone's going to sit on, shift their weight on, move around very often, it gets the Loctite. So
that is, let me just go ahead and put that in my Amazon cart right now. So that's so valuable. So Loctite glue, that's really, really good. I mean, that is a legit issue. Like at least twice a year at my properties, we have to have somebody go through and tighten everything. And sometimes, we get, hey, this was loose, and we have to have them go out and do that. Every single time they go out and do that, there's a service charge plus the time, right? So usually $100 just to go out there. Then how long did it take them to go around and do all the rooms and stuff like that? And so we usually try to put it on a maintenance plan. But if it's something you don't have to worry about anymore, I mean, how less stressful is that? One less thing and one less cost. So wow, that's a really good, I love it. I love that.
Yeah. The other thing with that too is if you don't catch it early enough and your housekeeper sees the screw on the floor, what is your housekeeper doing with the screw on the floor? Tossing it, setting it in the owner's closet, taking it away from wherever it fell out of. And then somebody sees the screw and they don't know where they're supposed to add it back. Like, what piece of furniture did it fall out of? Nobody knows anymore. And your furniture will continue to degrade. So then if you don't catch it and put it on a maintenance plan because you didn't use the Loctite at the beginning, now you're buying new furniture more often. And that, again, it just goes down a rabbit hole. So if we do the right thing from the beginning, we've saved ourselves so much overall.
That's really, really helpful. Well, cool. What else do you got there? What other products do you have that we don't know about?
Let me open my baggie of what this is. This is stuff I, again, bought on Amazon. And we have all these things listed on our website, launchedhost.com. We have an essentials list where it's go buy these products. But if you're going to reuse your old furniture, which a lot of people want to, there's nothing wrong with the bed frame. It's in good shape. Maybe you get a new mattress, whatever. But what we find is some of those old bed frames that go with the style are a little rickety. So we will install corner brackets. I don't know if this is showing up, but we will install corner brackets on the corners of things just to reinforce the product. And especially if people buy a cheap product, you need to reinforce some of it. Things aren't as well made as they used to be. So we will go through and we'll install corner brackets on things and just improve the maintenance. Again, starting at the beginning rather than waiting until forever. And that way the owner is saving money by being able to reuse their furniture, but just kind of strengthening it a little bit. So that's another one.
I like that.
These are my favorite wall anchors. I literally, before this podcast, went rooting through my tool bags and was like, what do I have that I can show people?
I like the show and tell. So this is a good one. So if you're listening to this, you gotta watch this one on YouTube too, at the Cashflow Positive channel. So we got wall anchors. Why do we need wall anchors?
So these ones I love the most because I don't have to change from hammer to drill bit. These screw in, so I can use my drill with my regular screwdriver setting, and I can screw in the wall anchor and then screw in the screw after it. And what we find where we need wall anchors is anytime we can't find a stud, you need a wall anchor. If
Hmm.
we're hanging a heavy full length mirror, and we know everyone likes a full length mirror, I don't know what the ROI is, Kenny, that's your field, but full length mirrors we feel like are really just something that help reduce the traffic in the bathroom if someone can use a
Yeah.
full length
You
mirror
should
in a
definitely
bedroom.
add it, especially if you're in an area where you might be hosting wedding guests and things like that, or people going out. I had a property in a city, and that was a big. We didn't put one in because we didn't know any better, and we just kept getting requests, and it was like, hey, probably should put one in. And then once we put it in, people were like, love that you had a full length mirror, like after, like, so it was like a duh moment, so
Yeah, it's a simple thing, but anytime you're hanging something heavy like a mirror with a substantial frame, or anything that you can't find a stud to hang behind, we like these wall anchors, and they're critical on curtains more so than art because art is stationary. No one should be touching it, moving it, messing with it.
right.
But curtains are being opened and closed and opened and closed, and it just wears those screws out of the
Mm,
drywall. So you want to always either drill into a stud or use a wall anchor. And I feel like such a construction person saying all of this, but
yeah.
it's just true. And we want those curtains to stay up, and we want people to use them. So what I don't have to show and tell is curtain tape. And that's another way. So using curtain rings helps the curtains to open and close easier. But there's this curtain glide tape that, again, we have it listed on the website that you can go order it on Amazon. We don't get affiliate link for things on Amazon, but we want to share them with you. But you tape this piece of curtain tape along the top, and it just helps everything glide smoother, open and close with ease. So they're not like tugging it over where the connectors are on the curtain rods.
Interesting.
And it will just make everything easier for your guest. And when it's easier for the guest, they're not tugging as much and pulling them down. And it just saves the wear and tear over time and the handyman maintenance calls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are all my show and tell items, other than every time that we are assembling furniture for a property, we will create a box. Every spare part goes in the box because we never know when we're going to build a piece of furniture and it's going to be missing some parts, but some parts from another piece work on that piece. So, and then what I do at the end of the install is I will gather in old containers all the little parts and pieces that I might be able to use again on another property.
Mhm.
And I bring like random spare parts everywhere I go. And because I travel, I have limited amount that I can bring with me. I can't bring up an entire garage tool kit, but we do bring small tool kits, so that I always have like an extra washer, an extra screw, or like an electrical cap or something that just saves a trip to the hardware store. Again, saving you a lot of money and driving time and delays and whatnot. So keep all those spare parts and then pack them with you.
Yeah. No, I love that. So when it comes to, preventative maintenance, what are you seeing as the number one mistake that hosts make when it comes to just setting up their furniture and, or even the furniture they order for short-term rentals?
Yeah, the furniture you order, we will know when we start opening the box how, even if we didn't look at the price, we can tell how the quality of the furniture based on the cardboard, based on the packing material around the cardboard. We start opening, we're like, oh boy. One, we know this is probably a cheaper piece of furniture because there are more steps to install it. So it takes more time. Therefore, that relates to more labor costs. If you're paying somebody by hour, you want to spend more money on more expensive furniture that goes together better and quicker. If
Mm,
you cheap out on your furniture and you have to pay for labor, you're going to whatever you save in furniture costs, you're spending in labor. I would rather buy a better product and have a lesser qualified person be able to assemble it. Does that make sense?
That
I'd
makes
rather spend $15 an hour on labor than $45 an hour on labor.
well, it's also more, it should be more durable, right?
And
It lasts longer. So, like the lifespan of something that's maybe a little bit higher quality versus, low quality. Like, for example, I think of, metal bunk beds versus, maybe wood or built-in bunk beds. The metal ones are just, they loose, there's
squeak.
problems with it. Yeah, squeak. And just over time, there's a lot more wear and tear on those. And the other ones are just more solid, something, it's just going to last. You don't have to like worry about in the future.
Right. The other thing is there's also a quality of wood. Like a lot of things are press board with a veneer finish,
Right.
and there's different thicknesses in the veneer, which means if somebody is screwing in a screw into a press board that's really loose and the veneer is really thin, that screw is going to pop and like make a bump in the veneer and look terrible. And then when people go to wipe it or brush something on it, that veneer is going to break. And you have to have somebody really high quality that's really paying attention and caring about what they're doing when you buy cheap furniture. Otherwise, your handyman that doesn't know any better, that's never assembled something, isn't going to know how careful they need to be.
Yeah. No, I think so. One of the things that I've been really encouraging people to do, and this is, you're talking about quality here. And people make the mistake. So they'll go to the designer and they're like, I want all these things. And the designer's like, okay, this is your budget. This is how much everything costs. Like, I got to cheapen it, or like, you just get rid of stuff. And they're like, okay, we'll cheapen it, and then now you've sacrificed quality for quantity, and you're going to have more wear and tear. And people can complain on things that are broken, or, maybe it's just not as nice. I mean, we've all seen those like, really cool things on Wayfair that you order and you get it and it's like half the size, like it's like a Temu size or whatever,
I'm guilty.
Yeah, you're like that's like not the size that I like envisioned, that I saw the picture of, because it was like a blown up close up shot of it. And so like that happens. And so for me, I would rather see people focus more on quality and really getting, not necessarily like, oh, you need to buy the most expensive beds out there, West Elm or whatever, like Pottery Barn beds. Please don't do that. But buying stuff that's durable, that looks good and is going to last. And then maybe sacrificing on some of the other things that you could have gotten for the sake of quantity.
Amen. You are preaching to the choir. We will see that people just stuff houses full of things. And it's like, maybe if we spent less on the amount of things and bought better things, you can always add more later. So if your budget is running out, you don't need all of the vases. You can probably remove a vase or two, some things here and there, but you want to spend on the right things at the right time.
Be more strategic. So I'm going to do a podcast episode. I'm bringing in a designer, and we're basically going to be talking about how to be more strategic about the spaces you have. So it's not just about putting in the hot tub. It's not just about putting in the barrel sauna or the game room. It's what you do with the hot tub. And I'm not talking about photos. I'm talking about, how can we make and have a hot tub that has something unique about it? It could be lighting. It could be, one example is, someone put a dome and put lights around it, like a geodome. And, and then it's the same thing with our furniture too. Like these rooms, like how can we have, obviously, you can do wallpaper and you can do this and you can do that, but how can we turn even like the furniture and the stuff around the furniture into things that are more, unique and stand out? And I think that it's better to focus on the quality than the quantity of that, because people don't necessarily need to look at 70 photos to decide to book. They look at.
I don't think they do. I think they miss 30 or 40 in the middle, and they miss key things about the house. Yeah, but they make decisions a lot quicker.
Right. If you had 10 really cool shots or 10 really cool like things in your property, people are going to have already made up their minds by then, versus like, 40 average things in your property,
Yep.
So, and I think that applies to furniture and all the other elements as well. And it's not necessarily changing your budget. So,
Right. Yeah. You said I think the question you asked a little bit ago in the conversation was like, what is the biggest mistake? And one thing I want to kind of add to that, I don't know if it's a mistake, but it's a missed opportunity, is people will fill their homes and yards full of furnishings and they don't protect the fabric. I think you can go a long way by protecting your fabric with Scotchgard that I don't have a bottle of here.
Yeah. Well, imagine Scotchgard. Yeah.
Insert photo here later. But it's an aerosol can. It's simple to use. You just spray it on the fabric. It takes literally no time. There's a slight odor, but open a window while you do it. Like, this is not anything to get wrapped around the axle about. But they have indoor, they have outdoor, they have water protectant, they have sun protectant. So if you are in Arizona and you have a beautifully colored something that you're putting outside. One time we put bean bags out and even just couches with that are soft furnishings with cushions. We watch things in Arizona get sun faded in 2 weeks. It does.
Wow.
No time because that sun is just intense. So you want to immediately Scotchgard all of your things. That's why everything in Arizona looks a little like the color scheme is like dusty, a little bit dirty, a little bit faded, because that's what things truly look like there. So I recommend using the Scotchgard outdoor, sun protectant version when you are installing and setting up, because then you're going to have beautiful things that don't look faded and weathered after one season. It's going to last longer. It won't last forever, but it will extend the life of what you're doing. I also use Scotchgard on my couch cushions, on my rugs, on any fabric. I read the labels and I'm like, what can I put this on? Because what I don't want is a child with a popsicle running through the house getting orange or purple stains on literally everything. And I hate to say I had that happen. And that is when I went through with all the stain fighting, and then I Scotchgarded everything. Had I personally Scotchgarded things from the beginning, like I should have, I would have saved myself all the hours of stain fighting that I did on ottomans, poofs, couches, rugs, all throughout the house.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay. So that kind of ties into this next question, but when you're going in, obviously, so with your job, you're setting up and there's usually like, hey, put the furniture here, do it this way. You're following like a blueprint. How have you seen furniture placement or the layout help reduce damage over time? Is there any, does that even occur?
That's so funny that you asked that, because you have no idea the conversation we had an hour before this podcast, where we were given loose instructions on where a few things should go.
Yeah.
And we have a giant sectional sofa. And I said, I really like it pulled out from the wall. So we have two ways to enter the room. This is a house that sleeps 8. It has one living room couch, and for 8 people to troop it. You know how you've been in somebody's tight living room where you're sitting on one edge of the sofa and everybody always has to get past you and it's like tight corners? Having 2 entrances into the room reduces the traffic flow on the pattern, like all of the foot traffic and all of the stains and dirt and just the fact that it would wear down. So we chose, outside of the instructions that were given, to push it a little bit further to create 2 areas of travel, so that the rug for the owners is going to last longer. It's going to be better protected.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
How have you done a lot of work with or connected with Justin Ford from the safety team? So
every time I walk onto a property, I see something that I'm like, ooh, this feels like a safety issue. And I take a video and I'm like, hey, Justin, how's it going? I need to know about XYZ. We talk. I think we've talked about like the last 10 properties, every single one of them. Yeah. I feel like he and I are like BFFs.
So I guess tying that into kind of the topic here, how have you seen I know it's, kind of maybe a cheesy question here, but like some of these safety concerns, not necessarily, do they have smoke detectors and stuff? I think most people do, but the right signage and, mounted fire extinguishers and all these things. Have you seen that, potentially save people money or save people from liabilities or save people from any issues, or what have you experienced from going down that route with Justin?
That's a really hard one to quantify because we come in, we set up, and then we do not do ongoing property management. I can put owners in contact with somebody that I think would be really good, but we personally do not do ongoing property management. So I don't know if somebody has used the fire extinguisher to put out a fire because we put it in the right spot where Justin tells us on the way out of the kitchen. So they go, I'm going to leave. Oh, actually I can fight this fire. I'll go back and try. We don't know what we've saved, but we know I think we've saved a lot of people from the potential disaster. And I don't even know how you qualify that. But sometimes designers will see a huge walk-in closet and decide to reallocate all of this square footage into a bunk room. But that walk-in closet has one egress, and that's not safe. And I believe that we have helped people to be able to qualify for their short-term rental permits because we've said, hey, this walk-in closet needs a second egress. I don't know how you're going to get your permit without this. This is not safe. It's not up to code. And I'm not willing to install a bunk bed in what is soon to be a tomb for a child. I won't do it. And that's again, being friends with Justin. I'm like, Justin, what do I do here? And so then we will advise owners, how are we going to do the secondary egress? A window to an outside is going to be expensive. A door might be less expensive. We could do this or that. And we go through, this is how much it costs. This is how much time it takes. And this is how safe it is. What are the options? And sometimes owners will add a secondary egress. Other times they remove the bunk beds and then we help them redesign the space that is not a sleeping space. So how do I qualify that? I don't know, or quantify that. I don't know. I just know.
I think it's preventative, right? Which if they did have an issue, that would cause, if the owner did have God forbid, something like that happen, you're going to court, you're losing thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions. And then
the mental anguish of somebody getting hurt and you could have prevented it. I don't want that on my conscience.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. And that's really interesting that you guys look at the safety side too, as you're setting up, and not just, I do whatever people tell me to do kind of thing. So I think that's really helpful. It's like getting another set of eyes, beyond just, hey, we're going to put in all this crap and then hopefully it's safe. So what, do you have any systems or routines that you could recommend for your clients to help? So I know you mentioned the Scotchgard before, but just in general with just furniture upkeep, even stuff, maybe appliance upkeep and, other types of, I don't know, furniture, appliances, things in the property.
So we have what we call our 100-point checklist, and that number 100 is just a number. It's a many point checklist, but
you stress a 100-point checklist. Can you tell me point number 59 off the top of your head?
Right. We call it that. Honestly, I think I heard Jiffy Lube talking about their 100-point checklist, and I was like, oh, and it has all these things that they inspect. I'm just going to run with it. But sometimes it's 400 points. Sometimes it's 800 points. It depends if you have a pool, a hot tub, a basement, 2 kitchens, how many bathrooms. Right. But the point of the checklist is that every time we are on an install, we go through it and we check every faucet, every shower, bathtub, everything for the water flow and temperature to make sure the water is flowing correctly. It's not trickling out because something's backed up in the sink. Or the temperature. I can't tell you. I would say almost half of every installs that we've done has had at least one shower that has been room temperature at warmest. And we aim for luxuriously hot showers. It has to feel luxuriously hot because, somebody just wants to scald their skin on the water. It can't be hotter than it's supposed to be. What is it? 210. I'd have to look, but it can't, or 210. We're not boiling people. I'm not going to say a number anymore.
Yeah.
Anywho, we check for water flow and temperature. If it's not hot enough, we go ahead and we adjust the Scotchgard to get it hotter, or we bring in a plumber if that's required. But we make sure every shower is set, every sink is set. And I think this should be an annual thing, honestly. We only go to properties to set them up, but owners should take this checklist and keep updating it as they go. And then we check every door and window to make sure it opens, closes, locks, and latches, because you don't want a hall bathroom to not latch properly so that when somebody's using the bathroom, somebody walks in on them. That's an awkward situation you don't want your guests to experience. And you got to keep the doors locked, and so that the bad guys stay out, but the good guys can always exit whenever they need to. So open, close, lock, and latch. That includes checking the hinges and the doorknobs to make sure they're not loose, because doorknobs get loose when people are opening them all the time. They can come loose. And sometimes we replace door hinges with screws with longer screws. Like, we just do these. We don't have a good system of communicating this with owners. We just take care of problems. But this is something that we tell owners that we have checked. We also check every appliance. We check all the burners on the stove. We've more than once had one burner on a gas stove that just shoots flames in the air, and all the rest are like the normal amount. And we're like, that doesn't feel safe. Let's look into that. Right. We found that sometimes we check for the broiler, and the broiler won't work. And even though the oven works, the broiler won't. Well, unless you're going through and really checking these things, you will miss these. And of course, due to Justin Ford, we check dryer vents to make sure they're vented properly and safely, so you're not getting that lint buildup, which would prevent things from drying for your cleaners, and also could potentially start fires. And then sometimes I tell people to just set a reminder on your phone, like every season, to check your smoke detector batteries, because that's the worst. When the smoke detector is like 13 feet in the air and the battery is chirping and the guest is like, what do I do? And why does that always happen at 2 a.m? Every time. So yeah, I say just set an alarm. I used to do it with the time change, but maybe it's every season that you check it. And I would be very proactive on batteries and replace them more often than you think you need, because there's nothing worse than the remote battery doesn't work, the door lock doesn't work, the smoke detector battery is chirping. You want to mitigate all of those things.
Yeah. I have like a drawer with batteries, but extra everything, like remotes, smoke detectors, like everything. Like, so it's just like, if somebody needs, whatever, then they can, it's there. So like, yeah.
Give them what they need. The amount of guests that I've experienced, I've been doing this since 2017 or 18. The amount of guests that have stolen from me is so, like, stolen batteries that I've left out is so slim compared to the amount of guests that have replaced their own remote control batteries and not called me. I want to donate batteries to you so that you can make a simple swap, rather than calling me sending somebody out at $50, $100 to change a remote control battery. That is ridiculous.
Right.
And along those lines, when we're talking about preventative maintenance, I want my guests to have a full complement of cleaning supplies, stored safely, but a full complement of cleaning supplies. So if they do stain a carpet, if they do spill their red wine on the bed, they can try to start pre-treating that stain instead of, just leaving it and not having anything. So I give lots of paper towels. I give lots of trash bags. I give cleaning supplies, and I just leave them in the house so the guest, if they are conscientious, they can clean that up after their own messes.
Yep. I agree. Okay. Last question. So I just want to tie everything back in together again. So if you are setting up a property, so let's say it's your property or friend's property, whatever, and you're expecting 5+ years of heavy guest use on the furniture and everything, what's your go-to furniture strategy? Like, what are you going to do? So like, what are you looking for in the furniture? And then also, like, the setup process, does it change? Do you, how do you approach that situation?
That's a great question. Often I am not the one sourcing the furniture. So we are using what we are given. but I would definitely reinforce everything that I can. And it's amazing how many extra parts and pieces you can find on Amazon, on Walmart that
Mhm.
will deliver right to your house. So like sometimes we will build a king bed and we will see that it doesn't have a lot of support legs in the middle of the bed. And we know that when the beds shift, either the cleaner's cleaning it or people getting in and out or whatever, that those support legs can snap. They're put on like these 1x pine boards that are just not the best. So even if they're screwed into the board, you twist it, it snaps. You can buy extra support legs for couches, for beds, and sometimes plussing it up with a little bit of extra support. So when someone flops down on the bed and maybe is a heavier person, the extra legs and the extra oomph underneath will support them. But yeah, I would say that. I would say don't get this set of kitchen chairs that are 4 for $100. Those aren't going to last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Spend a little bit more money on the things that people are going to sit on and feel and touch and use. Spend the money there, and you don't want to be replacing your kitchen chairs. So
That's really good. That's helpful.
mhm.
Well, cool. Well, Kim, thank you so much for sharing all this good knowledge. I learned a lot. I've already bought 2 things that you mentioned while we were on this conversation because I'm like, dang, like, yeah, I need to get that. So
Yeah, I know you just
yeah,
installed your own property. I saw it. It looks
yeah,
great.
yeah. So, but no, thank you so much for sharing. So, if I know you kind of alluded to it earlier, but if someone's interested in your setup services or just the 100-point checklist or any of the information that you shared, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you or get that information?
Yeah, a lot of people will DM me on social media, and that's really handy. I mean, you just put launchedhost.com is our website, and we have a lot of free information there, a lot of checklists and like shopping lists of things that we recommend that are that we have installed that we like
Mhm.
over maybe something else that might be a similar price that is not as good. You can guarantee anything we put on that list. We are like, we like this. This is the best you have. But I would also say DM me on social media. I'm Kim Fitzpatrick on Facebook, just my name and my face. And then I am Launched Host on Instagram. And if you DM me, I will send you a calendar link and we can set up a meeting and we can talk about us doing it for you or us teaching you how to do it. And then just follow my Facebook because I post my whole life on there and everything that I'm like in real time as we're going through it. I'll be like, hey, this is what we dealt with today, and this is how I would suggest you dealing with it.
Yes, that hands down probably the one of the most stressful things with doing a short-term rental is the setup experience, and then Kim is right in the thick of it. So
All the time.
I don't know how you do that or how your blood pressure handles that, but you do it anyway. So she'll be a saint in the saints of short-term rental. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Kim, thank you so much for being on the show. Any last parting words, any other piece of advice you want to share to help people cash flow positive with their setup and preventative maintenance and so on?
You know, I am going to be doing a session at the Build Short-Term Rental Wealth Conference, and I know you're going to be there too. So we've got a 4-hour block I do with Ashita and Bria, 2 designers that I've worked with, and if you want like 4 hours of design and install information, that's a great place to come get it. And then I always hang out during the conference and talk to everybody. I don't attend very many sessions because I'm talking all of the time. So come see me there.
Cool. Yeah, that's yes, like Kim said, I'll be there as well. So looking forward to everyone going to that. That's the STR Wealth Conference in July. So it's July 21st. Is it 22nd through the 25th? I don't know. I'm all there. I'm there all week long. So um, we're actually hosting our first ever STR Insights like client appreciation get together at the event. So we're trying to get as
Nice.
many people as we can. But anyway, so come to the event if you want to hang out with me or even Kim. Kim's a lot prettier than me, so go hang out with Kim instead.
You have a better
I have a good
shirt.
radio voice there.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have that, but anyway, thank you so much, Kim, for being on the show. This was really good and helpful. And I hope this helps you, especially when you're setting up your properties, to prevent and get that longevity out of your furniture. So thanks everybody for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with a friend, family member who's trying to set up a STR, because this would be helpful. Thanks everybody. And I'll see you on the next episode of Cash Flow Positive.